Men's mental health, how have you seen that stigma, break, but still work we need to do to have men feel comfortable talking about mental health more?
I feel like we're still trying to break through on how to communicate that properly. When I would talk to my wife, I wouldn't open up. And I didn't learn that specifically. Like, it wasn't taught to me.
Yeah.
It was a learned behavior from my father. He didn't open up a lot. Mm-hmm. He was a guy, showed up, went to work, opened up a little bit. Hey, son, I love you. I'm proud of you. Great job in school. Great job on the field.
Yeah.
Very simple man. I didn't see too many intimate conversations between him and my mom. So I didn't realize that I was downloading all this information. And as I got older, I became that same type of man.
Right.
And I would just bottle up all these things, even up until my late 30s, where I became a professional outside of sports. And I'm juggling 5 different jobs, still being a coach and full-time husband and father. And I am stressed as hell.
Yeah.
But all the while, I'm putting on this face that I'm fine. Mm-hmm. And then I would come home and not have a place that I felt was open for me to talk about it. And it wasn't to blame my wife. It was that I was restricting myself from doing that. All right, forget about my relationship for a second. Let's talk about within my circle of friends.
Yeah.
We'd get together and we'd small talk ourselves to death.
Right.
What's up with ball, man? How's the weather? It was nice
Who
shoes.
won this game? Where you going this weekend?
You want to go kick it? Where we going on the boys trip? And then realizing like we haven't had any conversations that are worth saving our lives.
Yeah.
And as we started to mature, now we do. We can sit back, put the TV on mute, and look each other in the eyes and talk about things that matter, which is why when people see me on TV, I always use words that are affectionate. I say I appreciate you a lot because I truly do appreciate people. I tell men that I love them because we don't hear that often. Mm-hmm. I tell men that I'm proud of them because we don't hear that often. But sometimes it means even more when your peer, another guy that looks just like you, that has been through the same things, can look in your eye and say, hey, man, I love you. I'm proud of you. Hey, if you need anything, holla at me. You got my number, man. Call me anytime. This fight for mental health is one thing. I'm a huge proponent of men just being more emotionally available and communicating that, even if it is outside of your comfort zone. Well, listen, I appreciate you joining me, and we don't say this enough. I love you, man.
I love you, man.
All right, good to see you. What I do is I use my platform to be that emotionally available man. I had Brandon Marshall on our show, who's also a huge advocate of men dealing with their mental health. He was on our show, and at the end of the segment, I just looked at him sincerely and I said, yo, I'm proud of you, man. I love everything you're doing. He said, oh, man, come on, nigga, I'm proud of you too. And I was like, all right, man, thanks for joining me. I love you, man. And he looked at me and said, I love you. And it wasn't one of those goofy kind of like, I love you, man. Like, that we do, or that drunk, hey, I love you, my guy. It was on camera in front of the world, 2 black men sitting there in an intimate setting, having an intimate conversation. At the very end of it, showing appreciation for each other, looking each other in our eyes and saying, I love you. And I think that right there sends a large message to the black community.
I do too. And I remember watching that on CBS Mornings. In the NFL, have you seen it change? You've had a lot of players. I don't think you couldn't talk about it as much when you were playing, when it came to mental health, depression, suicide. But, I think of guys like DJ Shark, who I covered at LSU when I was reporting on their team. Hayden Hurst with the Bengals. Now he's with the Panthers, I think. But just these different guys, Solomon Thomas, who I think you've talked to before. How have you seen mental health in the NFL, how that view's changed?
I think the NFL has done a great job of creating programs and offering resources on multiple levels. Before they would outsource.
Right.
Now they have things in-house. And I think also the conversation, in the locker room has changed. Before it was stigmatized, so this taboo would restrict guys from opening up.
Yeah.
Now you can have a locker room full of 65 dudes, and in certain pockets of the locker room, guys will be having real conversations about marriage, relationships with their mothers, fathers that are there, fathers that aren't, with their kids, what they're doing with their finances, their fears about stepping into the unknown of their post-careers.
Right.
Like, that's happening now.
Yeah.
It isn't what was depicted in movies, decades ago. The locker room atmosphere has changed, and the NFL is promoting that, which helps teams and it helps players on a very individual basis.